Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. I am your host, Kaylin Jean Louis, and I am so excited to join you all. Have you join me on the air for another motivational show? For those listening, you are listening to a show that aims to inspire you to discover and become the best version of yourself, not just on the screen, off the screen, and everything in between. And I really hope that you enjoy being able to listen to all the great things that I'm able to give from what God has given me. I mean, as always, I encourage you to download the Hallelujah 95.3 app so that you can listen to this show on the go on your electronic devices, whether you're in your car, at work, or just taking a moment to yourself. And be sure to tag a friend and have them tune in right now because today's show is truly one that I am excited about. Y'all know every time it comes around a special day for your girl, her birthday, she loves to impart some wisdom. I think I started this what I would call a segment. I don't know, segment, but I started this, topic idea when I turned 18. And it really is just a way for me to be able to impart some wisdom, just like all of the adults in my life have done for me, as they have moved from one place in their life to the next, as they've been one age and went to another. I just wanted to have a moment where I could share some things that I've learned. And so, like I said, I recently celebrated a birthday on 7/21, stepped into the big 2-0. And honestly, I can't believe I'm actually here. I mean, when I was growing up, 20, I used to say, imagine being 20, and now I'm here. But in tradition, I wanted to take a moment to reflect and share some of the greatest lessons that I learned in chapter 19. This past year brought me the good, the bad, and the completely unforeseen in good and interesting ways. But through it all, I stand stronger than I was 365 days ago, carrying wisdom I never imagined I'd gain. And today I want to let you in on those lessons, things that I learned about friendships, faith, trusting God, and stepping fully into who I'm called to be. And my hope is that whether you're 19, 29, or beyond, these lessons remind you that every season has purpose and every step you take prepares you for where you're meant to go. So, as I said, today's topic of discussion will be lessons I learned at 19. Now, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, oh, maybe I could do the cute 19 lessons at 19. But as I began to write out all the things I learned, I realized I have way more than 19 things that I've learned. But to narrow down a list, I mean, there's been so much in my journey growing up from now going into my senior year of college. I feel like I was just a senior in high school. I feel like I was just in middle school. Time has gone by so fast. And from friendships and relationships, faith and personal growth, self-confidence and ambition, and mindset and self-care, all of those topic areas, I've learned so much about myself. I often look at pictures with my friends and we all kind of reflect and are just in the headspace that we do not look like what we came into. When I look at where we looked at when we first went to FAMU, we all got accepted. We all laugh about the fact that we've grown so much. But I like doing those things and taking moments to reflect because I feel like in moments of reflection, that's where you are able to really understand things about yourself that you may not have realized, you may not have known, may not have taken into account. So let's start with friendships and relationships. What did I learn? Not everyone you enter 19 will be there with you at the end. And I think I say that every year. I think everybody says that. A lot of the times when you're going through things in life, the people that you enter stages in with may not be there, and that's okay. I will say this year, there were definitely some weird exits from people, and I didn't understand where they came from or why they were there. But at the same time, now I see it in retrospect. I could talk to God and I can say, thank you for removing those people out of my life. And I can also say thank you for allowing me to transition into another season. I also learned that, again, people come and go, but family is forever. And when I say that, I'm going to say that very loosely for some, because family to me is not just blood. It's people that are my chosen family or extended family. People in life will always come and go, but those that I've chosen to be my chosen family or different people in my family have really showed up for me in ways that I just didn't anticipate this year. And I think that They truly have been my biggest inspiration, my biggest motivation for pushing through and continuing to show up every day to school and showing up every day to all the endeavors that I'm involved in and not giving up. I also would say another lesson is allow people to appreciate you for who you are, not just what you can do for them. And that is a lesson that I will say I am getting better at now. I'm still learning it. However, it's really a big piece because I was having a conversation with somebody random, one of my, I would call them coworkers, but they're still a friend as well that I work with at the radio station. And I think there's just one time where somebody had asked me a question like, well, Kaylin, who are you? And I start naming all the things that I've done. And they're like, I didn't ask you what you do. I asked you who you are. And then I started realizing that there were people in my life that, genuinely want to see me for who I am. They appreciate me for who I am and not what I can do for them, not the title that may be on my name. And that's a big lesson for me that I'm learning, because you realize there's a lot of times where so many people equate you just to the role that you have, and they'll stick to it. They'll forget you're human. They'll forget that you feel things too. And at the end of the day, you have to keep those people in your life who see you for who you are, who don't look at you with a title, who don't expect you to be more than the human that you are inside, and keep those people close to you. I learned that from some people who are close in my life, but I also learned from them even throughout my year of 19, that now that I have people in my life who do appreciate me for who I am, it allows me to change how I allow other people to do me in friendships or just in working relationships and, and family relationships. It allows me to know that I deserve to be celebrated. I deserve to be appreciated by people, and I don't have to do things for people. I don't have to be an asset to somebody to be someone that somebody cares about, that somebody appreciates. And I think that's really big, because a lot of times people will put themselves out. They'll go the extra mile to stay in relationships with people, to stay in friendships with people, just because, oh, well, if I do this for them, or even though they may not appreciate me, if I just keep showing up, if I just keep showing them I care. There are people in this world that do not require anything from you but for you to exist and for you to be yourself, and they will accept you for who you are. And if you don't find those people or haven't found them yet, just be patient, because they will come along. Mine came in college, and some few in high school, but there's some people in your life that you don't have to put on a facade for, put on a mask. So I say all that to say that this year has taught me that relationships, mainly your friendships, your family relationships, shift as you grow. And sometimes letting go is necessary for your own peace and purpose. It hurts. Growth is not fun. I've said that before. I've talked about that before. That is not always a great place when you don't want to grow from people, or you don't want to outgrow people, because you may have grown up with people or you may have been friends with them for forever long, but everybody can't go in certain seasons with you. Sometimes you go to seasons of isolation. Sometimes you're in seasons of just having to dig deep within yourself. You can be friends with people, but you can't do some of the things that you used to do growing up. And that's okay, because that means you're being stretched to another level. And you need to lean into that versus fighting that feeling. Now, when we talk about faith and personal growth, man, oh man, 19, what a year for my faith and personal growth. I think it's funny, because I think that I know, if anybody knows, I'm a church baby. Most of the church babies listening know that, you grow up in the church, they take you through Bible study. You don't have no choice. They take you to all these church events, different things like that. And it's not that it's ever forced on you. But when you're born in the church, when you in ministry, everything, you're going to be involved in the church regardless. But I think that even in my year of 19, I've always known I love God. I know my purpose. I've been able to recognize that. But I think just being in college, growing up, I realized that I had to go a little bit deeper. I had to come to terms with myself and have a moment where it's just like, okay, this has gotten you by for years, 0 through 18. You are 19. You need to grow. You need to not be in the same place, and you need to tap into other areas, because there's some places that God wants to take you, but he won't take you there if you're still staying in the same place and you're still in baby faith when you have the capabilities to grow out of that, So first thing I learned was that God has so much in store for you. So keep trusting Him. There was several times where I had moments where I felt like I was doubting my purpose, I was doubting my plan, and I may not have shown it outwardly because everybody sees me and it's just like, oh, you're inspiring Kay, or you do inspiring moments with Kaylin. You're always positive. You're always this, but sometimes you're in spaces and it just doesn't feel like you're supposed to be there, or you feel a little hesitant. You feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, but you have to stick those out. I learned to stick those situations out. I mean, from all the opportunities that I had in chapter 19, I had to see some things through and know that even though I saw my friends getting opportunities, or I saw people around me getting opportunities, that my time would come, and I just had to trust that. Then the other thing I learned was never underestimate what God can allow to happen. And who every college student knows. I mean, between grades, between getting to class on time, but even further into just between your future and knowing where you want to go, never underestimate where he can take you, because there's definitely a lot of places in journalism that I did not think I would be right now. I didn't think I'd be in New York at Bloomberg. I didn't think I'd be doing several things that I've gotten the opportunity to. I don't think I would. I never thought I would be. I have a project with Essence, or I'm doing, a creative graphic. Like, I never thought that I would be in those spaces, but you can never allow where God will take you, because at the end of the day, He knows the plan for you. And not even just that, but we can only think so far. That's where that overthinking comes from. We're always trying to think ahead to the future, think ahead of how can I shape this? How can I plan this? How can I do that? And He's just like, let me have the plan. Let Him take it. And I'm telling y'all now, you will save yourself so much more, so much more peace and less stress if you just let Him take the wheel. And I had to learn that the hard way sometimes, because of the fact that I was stubborn, or, I would definitely say growing up, I've always been the organized kid. An organized kid is a good thing, but sometimes it can be a lot, because you can try to calculate every situation that you're in, or try to calculate everything you're doing. And I had to learn to just go with the flow, to allow the things that I'm worried about and put that in God's hands. And then another thing that I learned is that when God places something on your heart, go for it. I did that so much in chapter 19, again, with my internship, even going to the National Association of Black Journalists conference last summer. Little itty bitty things where I never intended that I would be somewhere, but God put it on my heart. I heard people talking about some things. They said, Kaylin, you should try it out. And at the end of the day, I had to take a step of faith, because, at the end of the day, I would not be here, or you can't, if you limit yourself to where it is that you feel like you can take yourself, you will never go anywhere. You have to open your mind and realize that you can take yourself only so far, but God will step in and do the extra means that you need Him to. You just got to give Him the space to do it. And a lot of times people complain because they're just like, well, I'm believing God and I'm trusting in God. But even in your believing and trusting in God, you're trying to take extra steps for Him. And if you just stop being hard-headed or stop trying to overcalculate, you will be in the places that you want to be. But you have to give Him the room and the willpower and the permission to do that in your life. Another thing I learned is get out of your head and trust that God placed you exactly where you're meant to be. That goes back to the overthinking thing. I can raise my hand and say that, sometimes I overthink. I overthink a lot. I'm getting better at it, but I overthink a lot. And sometimes, a lot of times, you got to get out of your head. I've been in my head even here, and I had to tell myself this morning, what are we doing? You got to get out of your head and trust that if you're exactly where you're supposed to be for such a time as this. You may not know what reason it is. You may not even understand why you're in the space, but there's something in that place that God needed you to see. He needed you to experience. He needed you to feel. You needed to meet certain people. You needed to be in certain rooms so that the next place that you go, you learn something greater. Then another thing I learned is that your presence sets the tone in a room, because you're called to something higher. And I'm going to pause on this and talk about this for a second, because I could talk about the easy part. And we all know, when you're chosen for a purpose and when God has called you to something higher, you obviously know that there's some things that you won't be able to do. And that's a very real thing. I mean, from being around friends to being in certain situations, people will walk in and be like, I don't know what it is, but when you walked in the room, something just changed, or I can't do that around you because I don't know, it's just something different about you. And you can easily let that aggravate you and be in a place where you're just like, y'all, I'm human just like you. But it's a good thing. When you walk in a room and you can tell that the atmosphere changes, or that you have the power to take something that was negative and bring a light to it, or you have the power to, just by existing, be able to change the trajectory of what was supposed to be planned. That's something powerful. And if you know that you have that gift, or that's just something that you deal with, hold on to that, appreciate that. There's been so many times where I have to sit back and thank God that I walked in the room and something changed, because it could have been something completely different. And discernment is huge. That goes in with my discernment. There's been several times where I've walked into a room and I could tell the tone was not for me to be in there and I needed to leave, and I did. And I learned that so much more. My discernment grew much higher in chapter 19 from being in certain places, from being around certain people, that some things are just not meant for you. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But like I said, if there's one thing 19 taught me, it's that faith isn't just something you talk about. It's something you walk through daily, even when you don't see the full picture. And everybody talks about that, but it's very real. You're not going to see everything every single day. You're going to ask yourself, well, why am I in this place? Why do I not understand things? And you have to realize that you're here for a reason. You wouldn't be here if you weren't supposed to be. Now, I want to talk about self-confidence and ambition. My self-confidence, I think, has grown the more and more I've just gotten older. I would say that I'm a lot more open and outspoken with how I feel. And I'm so proud of the way and the just how I've grown in that space. And so the first lesson in this section that I learned is to never count yourself out. A lot of times there's a lot of people in the world who are going to do it for you, but you can't be the one that counts yourself out. I think back to even this internship. I mean, there's opportunity to apply for something, and I'm telling myself, well, no, there's other people, they're graduating, they're fresh out of college, they need the job. Why do I need to apply? Or I don't know that I 100% like this. Why do I need to apply? And I had somebody to tell me at the job that the world's going to take plenty of opportunities to tell you no. Why tell yourself that? You can't count yourself out at all. And I'm learning that daily, because at the end of the day, the things that you may not think in your brain that you belong in, or the places that you don't feel like you deserve, are the very places that you're supposed to be. So never count yourself out of where you're supposed to be and where you should be. The next thing I learned is do the hard thing and bet on yourself. It's hard believing in your dream, especially when other people's dreams, take them one place or another. But you got to have the utmost confidence in yourself and faith to say that, no, everybody's trying to put me in a box. They want to box you in as this, or they want to put a label on you as this, but you got to bet on yourself. I have so many people that I say I want to be a multimedia journalist, and they're like, so why not just pick one sector? Why not just be a print journalist? Why not just, be an anchor? Why not be a photojournalist and take pictures? Bet on yourself. There's going to be a space for you. And if there's not a space, create one. That's the lovely part about the world we live in now. If there's not a space for you, you have the opportunity to create something for yourself. So do that. Create that space for you. Another thing is work hard in silence and allow people to see your success in chaos. You have to work behind the scenes. You're going to have to work hard. There's going to be a lot of people who sit there and say, nah, you can't do that. Or they're going to say, you sure you think this is a good idea? Or you really think that you can make this happen? And at the end of the day, the best way to shut people up is to just do what you have to do and don't be super out there with it. I know so many people who feel like they have to prove themselves to the world. So anytime somebody says something to them, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, you think you got to be on your phone every day posting, look at what I'm doing, look at how I'm moving. You got to post a video of content of you doing this, that, and the third. Baby, work hard in silence, because everybody doesn't need to see the work that you're putting in. Everybody's not going to appreciate the work that you're putting in. So work hard in silence. And then when everything is going on in the world and you just happen to pop out here and there, oh yeah, I just did this or I just did that. People will see your success. You don't have to boast about it. Just be you. The next thing is keep showing up, keep grinding, keep working behind the scenes because it will pay off later. I can't tell y'all the amount of nights I was up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning editing a video, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning writing something out, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning coming up with ideas, working hard. My mind's running. I can't shut it off, but I'm sitting here working behind the scenes. I'm showing up to events even though I may not feel like it. I'm pushing through, and it paid off. It's still paying off. Anything that you want in life, and I mean truly want in life, is going to require you to go the extra mile. I could have sat here this entire summer, me having to deal with business and financial journalism. This is the most I've had to stretch myself in years. And that's coming from me because, when I was in school, a lot of the subjects came a little easy to me. So when I got through high school, I was feeling good. I was moving through. Then when you get to the point in college where it's like, okay, the stuff that you're doing in class will get you so far. Yeah, it's easy. But then you get in the real world and you realize that if you want to be successful in a place, you're going to have to dig a little deeper and you're going to have to learn things. Do it. It's going to grow you in the best ways. And you may not 100% like it 100% of the time, but I promise you it will pay off in the end. Then the biggest thing that I learned is that your voice will take you places you never thought you would be. And I've been talking my whole life. My mama jokes about it. A lot of people joke about it. I've been talking my whole life. But the one thing I never knew is that my voice would put me in certain rooms. People have told me that for years. I've heard it, but it's a different thing to hear it versus actually living it. And realizing that people want you to be at these events because they say that your voice changes the tone. They want you to be around. I have friends who they will only come to me about serious things because they know when I speak that they want to listen. And it's not even a thing to boast, but I just know that's God's given gift. So know that your voice does have the potential to take you places you never thought you would be. But it's also a double entendre because your voice can put you in places that you're not supposed to be either. So I had to learn the power of my tongue is so much greater because of the fact that my voice is powerful. I can't say everything that everybody else says. I can't speak the same things everybody else says. Other people can joke and say this, that, and the third. But every phrase that people say subliminally, everything you say has power. And I learned that a lot more this year. So I also know that my voice is an asset to me and I have to protect it in the most way possible. That also means that you can't waste your breath on every little thing that somebody aggravates you with. You can't get hot with that one person just because they made you upset every single time. You can't go rah-rah on everybody because your voice is important. It can make or break your life. Now for mindset and self-care, more lessons that I learned is celebrate your wins, big and small. Be your biggest cheerleader. Celebrate those moments that you never thought would happen, whether it's as simple as waking up out the bed every morning, because Lord knows that's hard. I'm learning that every day working a big girl job, or it's as big as getting an award. Celebrate yourself. Another lesson that I had to learn the hard way was you don't always have to be the strong friend. And I learned that after I held too much on, that I can't always be the one everybody comes to. I can't always be the one who people are so dependent on emotionally because it's going to affect you in the long end. Don't be the strong friend 100% of the time. Then I learned to protect your energy. That's real big. I had to learn that there's some people I can't be around. There's some people I can't give my energy to. Sometimes people will come up to you with the intention to knock you off your path and you just have to laugh and say, and protect yourself from reacting a way that you don't need to or doing something that you don't need to. And you have to protect your energy, protect those that come in your space, protect those that you allow to know all the deep intricacies of yourself, because not everybody needs to know you on the level that others do. Some people come in your life and are meant to be your safe space, which takes me to my next lesson, which is find and appreciate the people who give you a safe space just to be. They're so important. Shout out to my best friends. I love them so much because they help me realize that I don't have to, give advice every day. I don't have to be the happy friend every day for people to appreciate me and give me the space to just woosah, to just vent, to let out how I'm feeling. Another lesson in this is that you don't owe anyone anything but kindness. And even then, use discernment. Be kind to everybody, but you don't owe an explanation to anybody. You don't owe anything to anybody. You don't have to be anything for anybody. Do you, be you, and be okay with that. You don't owe anybody the satisfaction of your tears. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to explain yourself for the decisions that you make. Be you and do it well. Now, just key life skills and wisdom that I learned before I wrap up is simple things. I call the adult things. Learn how to budget your money. I'm still learning that. That's an ongoing lesson in 20, and I'm sure I will keep using that lesson every year. But seriously, learn how to budget your money. For all my younger people listening, check your books. Start looking at how much you spend every month and look at what you're spending money on. Not every day you don't need the cheeseburger every day. I learned that. You don't have to buy a Sheen cart every other month. You don't have to go this place and that place, especially when you start driving. Have to pay for gas. All the adult things, I won't go there. But learn how to budget your money. Number 2, appreciate the little things now so God can bless you with what you deserve later, with more later. My mom has always taught me that, to be grateful for everything that you get so God can bless you with more. Because even the little things such as staying in the dorm or the little things that you see in college, you may complain about it, but I promise you, if you steward what he gives you well, it will repay you back. Number 3, have those tough conversations. They'll grow you in ways you never expected. And it's hard to have those tough conversations. But like I said in the beginning, it's all for your growth. And growth is never something that people like to do. But I promise you, it's going to help you in the long end. And it's going to help you grow as a person so that when you go into the next chapter of your life, I'm not bringing in the same things that I went in chapter 19 with into chapter 20. I'm doing things differently. My biggest thing that I put on my vision board for the next lesson is be open to new possibilities. Don't limit yourself to what you can experience just because you can't see it. Be open to everything. Don't say no to every single thing as far as trying things in life. Now, I'm not talking about people and what they want you to do, but be open to new possibilities. Another thing I learned is don't water seeds of attention just because you feel you need them. And I say that because there's people who come in our lives that make us feel like we're so great, or there's things that we get attention from and we feel like, oh, well, let me keep watering that because even if I'm going through this in my life, at least I'm still getting recognition. At least I'm still getting attention. As a content creator myself, we can get so caught up looking in those data analytics and thinking, oh, well, I did this in this post, so let me do. No. Do not water seeds of attention just because you feel like you need them. The things that are meant for you and are supposed to catch your attention will at the time that they need to. And last and certainly not least, do what you need for you because everyone else will. You know how some people, they say, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't want this person hurt or I don't want this person to be without. You have to put yourself first in some situations because I promise you everybody else will 100% of the time. And as I wrap up with all the many lessons that I learned at 19, as I look back at where I was a year ago, I realized that 19 is not just about surviving. It's about building the foundation for everything that comes next. So to anyone listening who feels uncertain or overwhelmed, remember this. Keep showing up. Keep trusting God and never forget that you're exactly where you're supposed to be for this moment. Don't rush yourself in the chapters that you're going in life. Don't push yourself in places you're not supposed to be. Allow yourself to feel where you're at. Those who are younger, do not rush to adult. Those who are older, take every moment that you have and keep pushing forward. Every single person, be grateful for every single year that you get because every lesson that you learn, everything you go through is for a reason. Thank you so much for listening to the show today, everybody. I hope that you got some wisdom out of that. And I hope you were able to hear from my real authentic side of just some of the things that I've learned. Before I leave, I ask that you hashtag connect with me on all my social media platforms, which is by subscribing to the KCK Inspiring Moments with Kaylin YouTube channel and turning on your post notifications. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaylin Cares 15, on Facebook and LinkedIn at Kaylin's Caring Connection. And by all means, go to the website, which is www.kaylinscaringconnection.com, where you can find all of the things that I listed above. As I wrap up the show, I always want you to remember one thing: you are loved, you are enough, and you matter. Don't let anybody, and I mean anybody, tell you any different. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next Inspiring Moments with Kaylin radio show. Until next time, be blessed.